today's Business Brief, we're joined by the founder of the Switzer Report, Peter Switzer. Peter, big news in the business world, the billionaire James Packer offloading half his stake in Crown.
Yeah. And I've got to say, when I heard that, I thought to myself, well, on one hand, we all hear about the personal reasons that he may well be, sorting out his life, but I also instantly added two other things together. Rupert Murdoch has recently sold out. It was last year. Then we saw Frank Lowy also cash out his chips as well, and now James Packer. And it's quite possible that some of the big hedge fund managers of the world are giving these guys advice that things might be becoming tricky. Interestingly, I was actually talking to a New York hedge fund manager recently whose view is that they're not worried about the economic outlook or the market outlook for the next year and a half or so, though this week we saw the bond market sell off and we saw JP Morgan downgrade the US growth. So there is a bit of consternation in the markets now, and someone like James Packer may well be selling out now to one day come back and buy again if share prices should fall.
Very interesting, yeah. And what did you make of, on another front, from one of our wealthiest to our lowest paid, and the decision by the Fair Work Commission on the minimum wage?
Yeah, I think it was a fair call. The unions wanted 6%, they got 3%. The hourly rate for minimum pay workers is about $20 an hour. And look, a lot of my small business constituents would prefer me to argue a different case, but this economy of ours needs spending, and the lowest paid workers have a really high propensity to consume. Give them $1, they spend close to $1. So the economy needs it. We've got the ScoMo effect post-election. The election is over. That always helps the economy. Interest rates are coming down. These are all good economic things. And so giving money to the people who will spend, I think, is a positive for the economy going forward.
And as you look back at the week that was, what's the best economic news out of the week?
Yeah, well, interesting. It came with a bit of bad news. The business investment number for the March quarter was a bit disappointing, down a tick, which means that the March growth number won't be as strong as I'd like it to be. But the plans for business investment, Kieran, came in at a 7-year high. We haven't seen numbers as good as this for 7 years. And that means that when you put all the positive I put together a moment ago, with the ScoMo rebound, the fact that tax cuts are coming, interest rate cuts are coming, and there's a higher wage for minimum workers. All this suggests to me that my belief that the second half of this year will be good. It will rest on whether Donald Trump can get himself a deal and doesn't create the recession that maybe James Packer might be afraid of.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? That's the big unknown as we head into June, and a couple of weeks away, Trump and President Xi Jinping holding those talks in Osaka, Japan for the G20. But the thing is, as you know, and as we've seen over many years, it's not that meeting that will resolve this. It's the build-up with the officials meeting. Can they get a deal done? It just seems a bit complex right now to resolve all of those problems.
Yeah, at this stage, mate, it looks really... Like, Donald Trump is the hardest politician ever to read. Look, the reason why the stock market's not selling off greatly at the moment, and by the way, the US market is down 5% in a month. We haven't gone down, but the main reason is that most people still believe he'll crack a deal. If we get the news he's not going to crack a deal and this trade war becomes serious, then we will see some serious stock market selling off. It will create the potential for a recession, and once again, it probably would make James Packer's decision to get out of Crown as a very smart one. But at this stage, most of the analysts believe a deal will come, and I truly hope that's the case.
Indeed. It'd be good for everyone, I think. Peter Switzer, founder of the Switzer Report. Appreciate it. We'll chat to you next week.
Cheers, mate.